You're watching SBoyTV.
Who we got on the backdrop right now, man? Go ahead and introduce yourself to me.
This is Doce Quetzal, native son of the ancient ones, y'all. I'm a battle rapper, hip-hop artist, lyricist, and creator.
Oh, man.
Yes, sir.
You said the whole bio.
A little bit.
That's dope, man. So tell me a little bit about life for you, man, growing up for you.
Well, I'll say, okay, I started going to school in Mayberry Elementary in Southwest Detroit, right? Eventually I started to go to school in Lincoln Park at Lafayette Elementary. Only, I don't know if it is now, but at least at the time, Lincoln Park schools, they were not school of choice. And so my grandparents, they lived a block away from this elementary school. And so we just said that's where we lived. And we were commuting from Southwest every day. Eventually went from Southwest to West Side, so like Evergreen and Warren. Still going to Lincoln Park for, I was going to Lincoln Park schools from 3rd grade to 9th grade. And then I finished up high school at Allen Park High when we found out that they were school of choice. So we didn't have to, keep our guard up about any of that anymore. It was whatever. But I lived on West Side, Evergreen and Warren up until, 2008. Then from 2008 to 2012, I lived over on Greenfield and Warren. Then since fall 2012, been living in Lincoln Park. Okay. Ironically, at the house that we said that we used to live at. But that's definitely our house now, my siblings and I.
That's sweet, man.
Yes, sir.
That's a whole story right there.
Oh, yeah.
I was waiting for you to see how long you was going to stay on Warren, because you was staying on Warren for a minute.
Yeah, like, 2001 to 2008.
Yeah, you was like, Evergreen down with the Greenfield Award, you was staying on Warren. So that's pretty sweet, man. All right, so Southwest Detroit, right?
Originally, yeah.
Yeah, man. What is that like?
Well, I used to live on Ferdinand Street, right off of Verner, actually. So I was like right in the midst of Mexican town right there. Yeah. So just a few blocks away from Clark Park. I know Armando's is a hot spot for folks, in that area. But, just that little strip right there, that side of Verner. Then you take it up a little further where it splits off into Dix, and you bust a left and go down, and that's the whole other side of Verner, and even in Southwest, we refer to it as this side of Verner, that side of Verner,
that's sweet.
When it curves off like that. So I was on the more Mexican town side of Verner,
So what was that like for you growing up right there?
Oh, it was cool. It was, at least at the time, like the 90s and shit, I don't know if, I'm sure everybody from Detroit remembers, if you're from the 90s, like it was kind of wild back then,
In what way? Because I ain't from there. I ain't from that era.
Okay, gang shit was still really on and popping in the 90s. This was post-Reagan era, so people are still like mentally, spiritually, physically picking up all the pieces from Reaganomics and shit. And so like a lot of that, like this is post-Reagan era, which meant, Reagan era was the crack era. So when all of that was going on, this was the aftermath of that. And so, the 90s, as far as that kind of stuff was concerned, was still pretty crazy. When I was living in Southwest, the house next door would get shot up every once in a while. It was OGs living there, and it was Pee-wees, new school cats, coming around. I don't know exactly what, scuffle they had in the hood or whatever. Who knows? Maybe it was just kids trying to make a name for themselves, in an attempt to take out the old dudes, but I don't know. Yeah. But as far as it was living over there, once we started to go to Lincoln Park, we lost touch with practically all of our friends, that we, had when we were still going to Southwest. I did maintain contact with a friend of mine, Sergio Martinez. He actually does a lot of immigration work and everything in Detroit. He's a big name with that. Me and him are childhood friends. But, we, like I said, we lost contact with a lot of them. So it's not like we had much going on in Southwest, post going to school over there, so it was just whatever family we had living over there or whatever. It's almost like we were from both places at the same time.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. That makes sense.
And so like, what sucks though about that is that it's almost like when we were going to Detroit, there was no like question about like identity and anything like that, you know. But once we started to go to Lincoln Park, like a lot of school districts, you know, as far as the students are concerned, if you weren't there from the very jump, like if you weren't there from kindergarten and, you know, weren't with everybody, you know, growing up, then they're like, they don't fully let you in.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so, like, I mean, even though when I jumped in elementary over there, it was third grade, you know, that's still not too bad, you know, but like there was still that alienation from it, you know?
Yeah.
And huge culture shock going from Southwest Detroit to Lincoln Park schools, you know, whereas, you know, Southwest, very diverse classroom, going to Lincoln Park, I'm the only Mexican in there, you know, like, I remember stepping in like, where is everybody? Damn. You know, like I said, like I was stuck.
Yeah.
Like, damn, this is where I'm at. Okay. I mean, Lincoln Park is far more diverse now, far more. But at the time, it was not. Definitely was not. At least not in the elementary schools. Once we got to the high school, then things really started to diversify more. You can tell.
Yeah.
You know, a lot more people from Southwest started to move to Lincoln Park. You know, so by the time I reached ninth grade over there, we were not the majority by any means, but we had there was a solid squad of us over there, you know. Yeah. So like that shit was dope.
Yeah, that makes sense, man. So when did the music element come in for you?
I knew I wanted to start doing music when I was in 7th grade. I just didn't know how to go about doing it. 8th grade, I took my first stab at it. So that was early 2002, late 2001, something like that. We were already living on West Side at the time, you know, so like I took my first stab at it. At the time that I wrote it, I thought it was cool, but, you know, a few months later I came back, read it, and I'm like, this shit's trash. So
do you remember it?
No.
I was about to have you rap it.
I really don't remember how it went. I gave another stab at rapping about a year later, 2003. It was better, but it still wasn't where I wanted it to be. But then I tried again later that summer. It was Bone Thugs and Harmony who got my gears going. So that was the first time that I wrote something down where I was like, okay, this is a good starting point, you know, at least, you know, according to my standards. And so I always give most props to Bone Thugs. Even though that was my third attempt at rapping, it was them who really helped me get to the point, you know, that particular day. So, like, definitely they're my top inspiration. Easy.
Yeah. Now, did you come in as a lyricist?
I really tried. I did my absolute best to, you know, be a lyricist from the jump. You know, I mean, being lyrical in that sense, it's not easy, you know, especially, you know, as you're coming up with it, you know what you want to do. You know how you want it to sound. You just, at the time, may not have had the words for it. Yeah. You know, or just the know-how. So, like, I knew how I wanted to sound, you know, but, like, and to be perfectly honest with you, I didn't know how to write to a beat to save my life until I was 27. I started writing when I was 15. You know, I tried to write over beats, you know, like, and I even thought that I was doing an okay job. But then, you know, I go to show it to somebody and they're like, you ain't on beat at all. What do you mean? Well, you're not on beat. What do you mean I'm not on beat? The beats, I didn't know, you know, like I really didn't, you know, that concept, you know, didn't take hold. Then when I was 27, took another stab at it, and it was like a switch turned on. I just suddenly knew how. Like, all right, bet. Oh, this is what I got to do. Okay. All right, sweet. Yeah. Like, so it was like a 12-year gap, you know, kind of adds to the Doce identity, because Doce, you know, my rap name, that means 12 in Spanish. And so there's a lot of elements in which creates that concept of Doce, but that's one of the things, you know, it took me 12 years to figure out how to write to a beat.
No, that experience matters, though. You know what I'm saying? So that time, it makes sense. And it's crazy because a lot of people would feel at 28, they missed their mark. Like, they missed their prime to be able to be a rapper. You know what I'm saying? So was that ever pressure for you to feel like, maybe I should try something different? That was probably my younger teenage age days. Like, what was that like for you?
There were times that I thought about that, but I noticed that over time, I got better at it. And the better I got with it, I was like, no, I gotta do something at this point.
Yeah.
And then especially later in my life, where I'm like, if I don't take a solid attempt at it now, I know I'm gonna regret it. Because I thought about hanging it up for a while. I was just, I'm like, I've been writing for years. I'm not anywhere. But I figured out how to write to a beat way late. I was a late bloomer with that shit. And so once I started to get better with writing over a beat and all that stuff, and I mean, I started to make music seriously and put it out in the public in 2019. But that was also the year that I started battle rapping. So it was like I got into both in the same year.
Yeah.
And for a while, it was like, I really feel that battle rapping is my primary lane. Because I, along with a few people in my squad, feel like that's where I shine the most, is battle rapping. And that was one of the things that I learned, not completely how to write, but it was very battle rap inspired during the time period that I did not know how to write to a beat, when I was writing just straight bars. Yeah. So I didn't, I already got that concept of not having to rely on a beat to change the flow up and everything like how battle rappers do. I already had, that know-how, of not worrying about like, hey, put a beat on, I can't do this without a rhythm. It's like, no, I can do this shit without a rhythm, and then I just, got better with that too. It was like I got better with rapping on the mic and battle rapping. Like both of them were progressing. Yeah, it's like, God damn. Like, so yes, sir.
That makes sense. So with the battle rapping, right? There's a lot of battle rappers that also do music too. And you're technically one of those battle rappers as well too. And I always feel like they gotta pick a side. Like it's either do this or this, because they are two different sports. Like it's like I said, no beat versus beat. You know what I'm saying? So although now, like, what do you think is most challenging to do still? Because now you know how to rap on beat. However, battle rap is still a challenge.
Oh, yeah.
So what do you think is the bigger challenge at this point?
The bigger challenge is, well, on paper, battle rapping's the bigger challenge, because you're only performing them rhymes once, and you better get it right. You better get it right. I've stumbled a couple times in battles, and this shit's embarrassing.
What was like the response from the crowd when you stumbled?
The first time I rapped in front of a sizable crowd, it was technically my second battle. That was my first battle officially under what they call MBR, Michigan Battle Rap. Because my debut battle was where I got noticed by people who are actually from the Michigan battle rap community. Because I actually faced a veteran my debut battle, and I won. So that was what got them to be like, yo, let's reel him in for other cards and shit. This rookie just took down a vet. But yeah, so technically my second battle officially in front of the Michigan battle rap crowd. Oh, I was doing great. Come the third round, I got stuck 2 bars from the very end of my third round. What I think it was, I was getting too hype because the crowd was getting hype, and I didn't know how to handle it. So I was just getting excited, and I got like, shit, what comes next? Shit, what comes next? I mean, I wound up picking myself up and finishing, but and I still won that battle. Yeah. Both battles that I stumbled in, I still won. Only because the other guy stumbled a lot worse. But yeah, man, it's rough, because especially when you're cooking, people are in it, people are listening, they're fully engaged, and then you just stop. It's really hard to, slip and fall, pick yourself back up, and still go at the same exact pace that you were going, especially when all those people saw you fall. That's the worst part of falling, is the witnesses. So like it's I haven't stumbled since then. It's something that can happen to any battle rapper, and I've even seen it on, we've all seen it on the big platforms, URL, King of the Dot, or whatever. Stumbling happens even on the big leagues. Not saying it will happen to everybody, but it can happen to anybody.
It happens.
It
happens. And it was always good to hear, because I watch battle rap a lot, and I always wonder, how do people stumble? Like, because I feel like you prepare, you practice. I mean, you should prepare, you practice.
Yeah,
Some people
absolutely.
do just start freestyling sometimes and stuff like that. But you prepare, you practice. What makes it like you just don't have the words anymore? You get what I'm saying? But I
Right.
think, like how you said, getting too excited can happen. Also, you said the wrong line. Like you remembered another line because I seen a lot of battle rappers go back and re-say it because they know they messed it up and then fix it up. But so for you, I always say battle rappers got styles, right? What's your style for battle rap? Some people play into the crowd. It's like they really just crowd.
Right.
They heavy hitters. They boom. They boom. What is yours for you?
Me, I love to focus on punches, punches, haymakers. Like my first, battle in front of the, Michigan battle rap crowd. I got a lot of praise from people from the crowd. After everything was all said and done, I didn't stay for the whole event, so I was making my rounds saying bye to people and shit. And there was a man over there. His name Smith of Words. One of the things that he told me was he said, if you can do a punch set up for almost every bar, you'd be really crazy, and so I always remember that. I've always remembered that, and that's something that I really try to do. It's maybe not a punch every single bar, but it'll only be a 1-bar setup to this punch. So it's like y'all are constantly getting this, that's how I see it. I used to make the comparison with music and battle rapping in the opposite direction, but I see it more now. Like music is more like MMA. That you have a lot more freedom to move around. You can do many different styles, many different ways. You can maneuver a whole bunch of other, in other types of methods. But battle rapping is more like boxing. Like it's still the same concept. You're still rapping. You're still, coming at the people. But there's a lot more of a strict formula to do it. And you're only relying on these rather than your whole body.
Yeah.
In fact, if you use these, that's knocking you down points or getting you disqualified. So, like, I really do try to keep the punches constant.
Yeah.
So, like, they're almost like they're mentally playing, defense, the constant punches and then the wham, the haymaker, constant punches, bam. Like, that's how I try to do it.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm getting better with that.
Yeah.
And
now let's talk about the battle rap culture, man, the fans. Because I think that's really, like, I love the artists, but the battle rap fans really make battle rap. I think they also changed the opinions of a lot of people' perspective on who won the battle just from crowd engagement. You know what I'm saying? And have you ever had to deal with a crowd that just you punch in and it's like it's going over their head? You know what I'm saying?
yes.
What do you do in that space? Like, do you kind of just try to like change up what you already had planned, or you just be like, man, they gonna get it on the watch back? Because that's what everybody say.
I always use this battle as an example. It was my third battle ever. I wrote stuff that I thought was good, that I thought was great, especially because how people reacted to my second battle. So I'm like, ooh, I'm going to try to juice it up a little bit more. But I really did, spit lines for a while that was going over people's heads. And I'm like, I really thought y'all constantly watching battle rap, constantly listening. You're listening for shit. You're listening for those double, triple entendre sort of things or whatever. You're hoping to catch those. I just spit you one and I start to panic internally because I'm like, if y'all didn't like that one, I don't know if y'all are gonna like the rest of this shit, man. Like, that was one of my better. Like, I was proud of myself to write that line. I'm like, oh, that shit was fire. This is gonna make the crowd go nuts. Nothing. I'm like, fuck. Yeah. So it's just I've had that happen.
Yeah, I think that's one of. See, you saying you a punch haymaker type artist with it. That's really the hardest challenge because you really building up to that moment. And it's like, if they don't get the moment, it can kill your confidence on stage. Like, I'm just certain that you might have was going to close on that. Like, you might have had it, like, I'm going to end on this one right here. This is going to get that energy going into the next round. It's like, I get it, man. And it's me as a viewer. I watch it and I study it a lot and I see it's a challenge, man. And sometimes the fans are already biased to who they want to win.
I had a battle just in April. It was a tryout battle. I didn't know who I was facing. It was supposed to be a random opponent.
How do you prepare for that?
Just write bars. I wrote, because there are lady rappers, battle rappers in Michigan as well. I don't know if I was facing a man or a woman, so
Wow.
I wrote they for everything. You know, I didn't want to get fixated on saying he. I didn't know if I was facing a he. You know,
Right.
like, fuck. Okay, well, obviously I can't do name flips. I can't do shit like that. So it's just writing bars, just writing battle shit. I only had to write 2.5 minutes of that, but like I haven't wrote just straight bars, not aimed at anyone, no name flips, no nothing like that for a hot minute.
Yeah.
So that was a difficult 2.5 minutes to write.
Yeah.
But I threw a line in there that I thought people were gonna fucking love, and just no reaction from the crowd, like because I was facing, you know, a random opponent. Like
Yeah.
in my round, I would, you know, refer to the op as like a rando, you know,
Yeah.
stuff like that. Like it was a Monsters Inc. line. Like I thought people were gonna get that shit, and it just nothing. Fuck.
Yeah.
It said, "I'ma sully this rando when I throw him in the swamp. Give me that shovel." Nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like you remember that part of the movie? You know, another gator. Give me that shovel. Nothing. Oh, I was disappointed. I mean, all the other punches hit. All the rest of them did. I thought that one was going to as well, and just silence. I'm like, bet. All right. Y'all don't watch Monsters Inc.
So from you, man, what's your top 5 battle rappers?
Top 5 battle rappers. Definitely number 1 is Rum Nitty. Rum Nitty, he's the kind of battle rapper that I aspire to be like the most easily. I got Rum Nitty at number 1. I'll say JC from...
Really? Okay.
Oh, yeah, JC number 2.
Yeah.
People sleep on him, man.
They do.
People sleep on JC. It's wild. Like, when I was watching him last year, doing the tournament and everything, like, JC's fucking nuts. So it's, Rum Nitty, JC. I love this white rapper. His name's Homeschool. This guy, he calls himself Homeschool because he was homeschooled. But this dude... he slays people that he faces. Like he's very intelligent.
Right.
Very intelligent. I watched him rip apart Ace Amin, you know, rip apart A Ward, you know, like he's just fucking these guys up, and he's funny at the same time, you know, like it's beautiful when you can actually throw in these punches, these double, triple entendres, and be hilarious.
Yeah.
You know, like I think for me, being funny is the most difficult part. Like, you know, actually saying something funny instead of a dope line. Yeah. But so Rum Nitty, JC, Homeschool. I've really been warming up to what's his name? New Jersey Twerk. Homeboy's wild, man.
Yeah, Twerk good.
Homeboy's wild. What was I gonna say?
Last one.
I don't know if I've gotten to a full top 5 yet. I usually focus on my top 3, but I'd say if I have to give a top, Ill Will. Ill Will.
Okay.
In fact, he could probably be number 4. he could, you know, we could switch that with Twerk. Twerk could be number 5. Ill Will could be number 4. Also, you know, dude from Pontiac, and just Ill Will.
Yeah, he's nice.
He's wild. He's wild.
Nice. I like how you showing some Michigan love in here, man.
Yeah, man.
JC, Will, you know.
Sorry if Michigan people didn't make number 1, but it is what it is.
Yeah, man. So I hear a lot of messages in your music too, man. It's like a lot of passion around the world, like just about the world and just where we stand and where things at right now. So what motivates you into that type of space, like
the political, like that sort of thing? Anyone who, you know, knows me knows that I'm very passionate about, you know, social issues like that, especially if it affects, you know, marginalized groups worldwide. And that's really where my music leans towards, you know. I mean, that's my way of, you know, of joining the fight, you know, so to speak. I mean, because there's many lanes to the revolution, you know. Some of them just include making art. Yeah. You know, like you have the people who make painting, you know, revolutionary type paintings, you know, the graffiti artists, you know, like folks who make music. Yeah. You know, I wish I had the mental capacity to be someone there in the shit, you know, like really coming up with things like that, but I'm not.
Yeah.
You know, so music is the way that I can, you know, be in the lane.
Yeah.
Outside of that, I'm just a messenger.
Yeah, no, I like that. I like that, man. That's a good way of going about it too, because you know your role. You know what I'm saying? You doing it your way. You know what I'm saying? And you can't really choose how you add to the revolution. You just gotta be a part of it.
Yes, sir.
And if you're not a part of it, you're part of the problem. So that's good that you on that.
And revolution, there's many lanes.
Yes.
You know, and a lot of people feel discouraged about, you know, their place in the revolution because they're not like one of the people in the shit doing stuff. And it's like, we need all the lanes, you know, even if your lane is just getting through the day.
Yes. All hands on deck. All hands on deck.
All
man.
hands on deck.
Yeah.
You know, like it's.
Yeah. So when it's all said and done musically, man, what do you want to be remembered by?
Wow. I suppose at the end of the day, as far as music is concerned, if I want to be remembered for anything, is that I wasn't afraid to lean politically. I wasn't afraid to spread the message. I wasn't afraid to show that I'm, you know, in this particular lane. It's our way of keeping it in. You know, if we don't keep talking about it, if the conversations don't continue to happen, nothing's going to happen.
That's right.
You know, if we don't do nothing, nothing's happening.
That's right. You on point, man. I like that, man. So lastly, before you go, man, let the people know where they can follow you at so they can stay connected with you.
Yes, sir. Y'all can follow me pretty much on everything. Instagram is Doce Quetzal. That is DOCE_QUETZAL. You can also follow me on Facebook under Doce Quetzal. That's all one word. YouTube, Snapchat, TikTok, all one word. I'm also on the Grid Music Network. So shout out to those people. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
That's right, man.
Yes, sir.
That's right. We out, y'all.
All right.